I'm Sean Burke, and I've got a 2006 Carrera 4S Cabriolet. I get as much joy out of working on a car as I do on driving it. And so, being in that garage, I can wrench on it. I've done about everything on most vehicles I've owned except, rebuild an engine. And so that's part of my fun. But what really started to lead me to Flat Six Innovations was when I first drove the car, I wanted more power, which is common for me in any toy I have. And so I started researching, and I found out, Jake and his team were about the best in the business in the US. And so started to talk to them. And while I was doing that, I also then started to learn about potential failure modes and was pretty sure that my car had already started to develop bore scoring, even though it had about 35,000 miles. So that, that led me into working with Jake and the team and getting to where I am now. And, I've said this before, this car is really the way now with this engine, the way it should have been from the factory. It's got the power, it's got the torque range, it's got the civilized behavior that it didn't have stock. So it's really what it should have been. I drove from Central Ohio, Delaware, Ohio, so 600 and some change miles for the direct trip. But I also met up with Kurt Hamilton down in the mountains of Tennessee. So I drove down, left early in the morning, and then Kurt and I spent about 4 hours driving the good roads down in the mountains before we then took another couple-hour drive to here. So, this was a lot of it was about meeting people and learning, but also it was really nice to also squeeze in a nice little driving trip too. So I really got to push the car through its paces, push the engine through its paces, and then come here and still do the Class 2. So I'm always, for any vehicle that's kind of a hobby, I'm all about the community, and that's one of the things I love. This owners group, you've got a bunch of people that are really passionate about the cars they have, about the engines in it, and then it's just a tremendous bonus that Jake's so active in it and interacts with everyone and shares knowledge, and he learns from things that people come up with. He works with everybody. If somebody has a unique issue, that becomes something new that now everybody learns. It's just a great group, and I think the fact that it's a small group is also great because it's again a small group that's really passionate about these cars, very detail oriented. So it's just a fun community.